All right. Now, this is in response to a question on how to improve on some design elements. And so this is the first part of that video. This one's going to be dealing with using displacement maps and several different effects to sort of get the same way for some of the type reveals. So my first map, I'm using one map for all of this just for simplicity. When you're working with displacement maps, they've got to be grayscale because the computer is usually working off of like ones and zeros. And since it's one color value, it's what's zero is, obviously zero would be white and black would be 100 or 1, like 0 or 1. And the gray would be, medium gray would be about the halfway point. So what I have here, like most of this is going to be going downward, like that's for this tutorial. Like blood lines coming down from the top of the screen. So my keyframing is just the offset turbulence on the Y. So remember, let me hit zoom in. The X is to the right, that's side to side, and the Y is over here, that's up and down. So what's going to happen is it's just going to move downward over time. I changed the Y value. And I also keyframed the evolution. I believe it's two full circles right there. I adjusted the contrast and the brightness just to blow it out more, and I scaled it down. All that is under the transform. So I'm going to zoom in here, show you that. I just stuck with the dynamic fractal type soft linear, contrast 756, brightness minus 27. And there's where I changed the scale to 32%, and this is where I keyframed my offset turbulence and my evolution. So that's all that's going on here for the map. So this is the displacement map that I created. Wish I could move this. There we go. All right. So that's my map. I pre-composed it all together. Now, for this first example, before I show you the reveals, I'm just going to go over, let me turn this off. I'll turn off my alpha mat. Okay. Here's several different looks for the animation that I was seeing was kind of like a red liquid to reveal the type. So this is sort of like ways of getting sort of a bloody look. I made new solid layers for all these, not shapes, solids. This first effect is called Blob Lies. And let me zoom in, I'll show you up here. So under blob layer, this is where I chose my fractal. The texture I showed you is moving downward. I changed some of the properties, just the softness and the cutaway. And this is where you can adjust the lighting to get how you want to look right there. I'm going to stay on this for a second so you can see that. I'm going to zoom out. So this is what Blob Lies does over time. Just creates this blob type of liquid. And it was a fast, easy way of doing it. So I'm going to turn that off. Now my lines, let me go to my lines. The lines are using something different. Okay. For this look, I used, let's see, is it right here? Okay. I got this look by using the displacement map, turbulent displace, and CC glass. That's another way of creating a bubbly, blubby, bloody type of liquid. So there's Blob Lies. Okay, so there's CC glass, which I'd mentioned before. Turn off this alpha mat and show you what it looks like. Close that layer. Forward. Just gotta wait for the screen to refresh. And that should be showing you something, but it's not. Oh, because of, let me check my bump map. Here we go. There it is. It just wasn't reading the texture that I'd created. The displacement map we'd already discussed from earlier. And again, this is where you change all your settings for your effect. Another one I'd worked with is plastic. Let me turn off the alpha map for that. And this is where I use my bump layer. I did the fractal map. There it is. So you can see what the effect looks like. It's using that displacement map that I'd created out of grayscale. And the last one I'm going to show you is CC Mercury. Hide this layer. All right. Mercury is similar to particle systems, which we're going over this week. You can change the position of it. And one of the neat things about Mercury is you can rotate it in 3D space. You can twirl it around. A lot of things are going to change based upon the settings you choose. Like velocity will spread it out more, like a blood splatter, like for a gunshot. The birth rate is how many particles are being born. If I crank that up, you'll see more of it. Decrease, you'll have less. Longevity is how long they live, stay on the screen. It's also going to affect your animation. Resistance is how freely it's going to flow out of the producer. Like I said before, with the lightning effects and something like that, there's a producer for those. That's what it is. There's extras. You can increase or decrease that. It'll randomize it for you. The animation, just for this one, I have it on jet, but just changing it. This is the same with particle systems. You see how it quickly changes the look of it and the animation of it. So, I mean, it's got a twirly type of look. Like I said, for this, I just did jet just because I was focusing on a liquid coming down, which is what we have there. And also, I want to show you this real quick while I'm here. Producer, I'm going to move the Y off the screen just for a little bit more of realism. And plus, that way it's fully off the screen when it starts the animation and then comes down. Okay, so animation, like I said, that changes it. Influence map, constant blobs, you can change it to whatever you want, blob in and out. See how that's already changing? Blob out. You see how that's looking there. If I just do blob in, it's going to change the look of it as well. So I set it to blob in and out. Now, right here, I'm going to zoom in and show you this. This is an important thing when you work with particles. And like I said, a lot of this works off the same as particles. Blob birth size and blob death size. If I want this to be constant, I'd give them the same number. I made it a little bit more. Let me make it a little bit. Let's just do 20. Because with blood, it would obviously get a little thicker because more of it's coming out and massing together as it's coming out. I wish I could move this thing more easily. There we go. All right, so that's where you adjust the size of it if you want. Lighting, this is where you change all your lighting effects. Now, I put a hue saturation on just because it was, by default, a little bright. And this is just a fast way of darkening it up, if you like. So, those are just a couple quick ways of getting a bloody type of fluid for using displacement maps and various CC effects. Next, I'm going to show you using alpha mats to reveal the logos with these.